What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Another Friday, another episode of Why Are We Bullish? Got a killer panel today. Very excited to have a bunch of different gentlemen on. One a returning guest, a couple first timers. So we'll get into bringing them on in a moment. As always, this is live. Anything can happen. I defer to my friend Bill here.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
As always, if you have not already, like, subscribe, share, all those things, super important. They really do help get more eyeballs in here. And I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.
All right, before we bring in our guests, let's take a look at where we are in the market right now. We're sitting at 42,100 and it's popping around 100 and something odd dollars per coin. Doesn't really matter. It's a rounding error, as Foss would say. But currently you can pick up 2,371 sats for a single US dollar. 90.26% of all Bitcoin have been mined. And in terms of fees, a little bit higher today. 11 sats per byte for next block right now. Even waiting an hour, it's still 2 sats per byte, which, you know, usually if you're willing to wait a little bit, it's been down there past year or so. So a little bit higher on the fees, but not bad. You can probably set them pretty low right now anyways. Quick shout out to sponsors of the show, Shakepay.com. If you're in Canada, super easy way to stack some sats, free deposit fees, free withdrawal fees, or no fees on either of those. Thin spread. And if you use the link below, after your first $100, they'll give you $30 for free. On top of that, you get the same deal if you refer friends, and then you can shake your phone every single day and get free sats. If you get on a streak, you get extra sats. And they got their Sats Back Visa card. Lots of ways to stack sats. So check them out. Links are down below. LEDN.io, you can use your Bitcoin for a ton of different stuff. In particular, if you're in a pinch, you need dollars, but you don't want to sell your Bitcoin, because who does? You can deposit here, get a loan of dollars to your bank account within 24 hours. And when you pay back the dollars, you get back the same number of sats. They also have savings accounts and their B2X offering. Links are all down below. You can check them out and see what they're about. I live on Bitcoin. This is relevant right now for different ways for Canadians to spend Bitcoin. But this is one way. Bitrefill. You can get just about any gift card you can imagine in Canada and all over the world. And you can pay with Bitcoin on-chain and Lightning Network. You earn sats back as you shop, and you can earn more sats back if you use your referral link for any friends and family that may be interested. Keystone, you know these guys, one of my favorite, most used hardware wallets. 100% air gapped. You never plug it into anything internet connected. Everything's offline via QR code. Keeps the keys to your money safe and away from internet connections. When you upgrade to the Bitcoin only firmware, which obviously that's what you're going to do, then it's super badass using it with Blue Wallet, Wasabi, Sparrow, Spectre, you name it. They got it. Nunchuck. And is really good in a multi-sig. I really like the quick scans. So check that out. And of course, if you're backing up any important hardware wallet, get it in solid steel. Paper's not going to cut it, you know. Fire damage, water damage, horror stories of people throwing stuff out. So be careful. BillFodl, privacypros.io. Check them out. Let me stop rambling, though. Let's bring in our panel here. We've got Brian. We've got Ryan. We've got Jim. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Let's do a quick round of intros and let people know who you are. So I'll toss it to Brian with, I believe, his much warmer setting. Dude, let people know who you are, what you do.
Perfect. What's up, everyone? Brian, Brain, like in your head, Brain Harrington. Yeah, calling it from the backyard where I've been working on my Citadel. Never had a backyard before, so I've been building it out. I'm the Bitcoin lead at Choice App, which is a simple way to get Bitcoin in your retirement account. Pays you in Bitcoin daily. And then other than that, I'm a volunteer at the OC Bitcoin Network and love meetups, love YouTube. So pumped to be here.
Awesome, man. Glad to finally have you on. This has been a long time coming. We've been chatting here and there for a long time. Nothing seemed to materialize just because of weird schedules, but here we are. So yeah, good to have you.
Pumped to do it.
Yeah. Jim, welcome back. Been a while. How you doing?
Howdy, doing great. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
My
Want to give a
name's
little
Jim.
intro?
Yeah, my name's Jim Crider. I own a financial planning firm. I work with young families who want early financial independence. Bitcoin is something we regularly talk about. All of our clients have generally going to have 10 to 20% of their total portfolio allocation in Bitcoin. So I get paid to orange pill people and provide good education.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to have you back. And our final panelist. Well, maybe we might have somebody else peek in a little bit here, but Ryan, your first time on, aka Nuclear Bitcoiner. Want to give a quick who you are, what you do?
Hey, I'm Ryan. I go by Nuclear Bitcoiner on Twitter. I work in the nuclear industry in Canada, and I'd only really started to take Bitcoin seriously within the last year or so when the big number go up event in January of 2021. And then around the time that Elon Musk dropped that energy FUD and the market crashed again, my wife and I were in a conversation where she proposed the idea of why don't we mine Bitcoin with small modular reactors, which is exactly what companies in Canada are very much gearing up to start doing towards the back end of the 20s. And I have just been obsessed with promoting this idea ever since, and I've been making some pretty good progress from internally within the nuclear industry and just generally trying to pump up the vibe around nuclear power in the Bitcoin mining space because people were getting kind of sad about it, seeing all kinds of nuclear reactors shutting down over the last few years.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to chat further as we get into this. Thank you all for coming. Let's just dive into it. Of course, if you're new to the show, if you're watching, you're not familiar, this is Why Are We Bullish? Really simple. We go by 3 R's. Somebody's going to bring a reason why they're bullish this week, or the time frame is non-specific. Then we're all going together to riff on that reason, and then finally we will rotate to the next person until we each get a turn. Really simple. So I'm gonna start us off this week. This is kind of a mix of feelings and emotions from everything that has happened the past couple of weeks. And I'm not going to dive into that particular topic because I feel like it's just been I haven't slept. We'll put it that way. But I've seen a lot of really cool things these past couple of weeks, and there's some stuff that stuck out to me. And one of the things that stuck out to me particularly these past couple weeks is that Bitcoin is for everyone. And when I say that, I mean, despite who's looking at it and who's trying to paint it a certain way, it is indeed apolitical. Anybody can use this. It works the same for me as it works with somebody that I completely disagree with their views. It will function the same for both of us. Transactions are simply valid or invalid. No one sits in a position of privilege or disadvantage as pertaining to the protocol itself. It's simply a tool, right? It's a tool. It's a tool for self-sovereignty. It's a tool for truth and truthful economic measurement, be it as early as it may be and as volatile as it may be. That still is a measure of truthful economic measurement as sentiment changes. It's a measure for a tool rather for global censorship resistant payments. Obviously, it's a tool for those which the legacy financial system has failed, and those people come in many forms, as we've learned. It's not exclusively in different countries anymore. And I think it's a tool that makes value language. It's as fluid and as free as speech. And I think at this point, some would argue even more so. So I'm going to leave it there. I think, yeah, Bitcoin is for everyone. It's simply a tool that anyone can use. And the world now has to grapple with the idea that this tool exists. So I'm going to open it up. What do you guys think? What do you have feelings around this? Anybody can jump in.
What I feel like is what's been going on up there by you guys from a distance is I'm impressed by how much Bitcoin has like very organically, like in on purpose, like integrated into what's happening. It doesn't feel bolted on. It doesn't feel random. It feels very like timely and positive. And it feels like people are like learning about it inside the right context also. Because I think sometimes, I don't have like exactly a specific example, but I think sometimes with certain like turmoil events that are happening in countries, Bitcoin will feel like a little bit of a bolt on, and we'll know intellectually that it can help, and we'll know kind of with theory that it can help, but it feels like this time from a distance observing it that it feels very organic and is being integrated into the conversation in a way that it feels like at the right pace.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique. It kind of came out of left field, but here we are.
And major props to like you for spinning this up and doing it, because it's never convenient. Like volunteering and doing something is never convenient. That's not like oh yeah, I actually wasn't doing anything that week and that was actually a great idea. You're right, I should run with this. Like, and you're always going to feel a little bit behind or a little bit ahead and you don't know what's going to catch. And so no, major props for just feeling it and doing it with everything else that, normal things in your life.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I'll open it up to Jim and Ryan, whoever wants to jump in on the topic.
Yeah, it's the perfect use case for what's happening in Canada right now. Like, the government is setting a precedent that if they don't like the political position of a protest against them, that they can lean on a third party and seize funds. So I never would have expected it to happen in Canada at this pace, but we've seen it in other countries, third world countries, hyperinflationary countries, and it's worked for the people that have grasped onto that lifeboat there. And now we get an opportunity to show it through Canada. And another thing that happened just 2 days ago in Canada was a member of parliament just tabled a bill that's with the goal of encouraging the environment for Bitcoin mining. And well, they say crypto, but I read the definition. It sounds very Bitcoin, but they want to focus on lowering barriers to entry, protect those that are in the space, minimize administration barriers, promote innovation, encourage growth and investment. And they want to do that by engaging with the experts in the industry already in order to promote those ideas and craft policy around them. So they're starting to pay attention.
Yeah, let's hope they don't change
their the Bitcoin for everyone, because government, protesters, like everyone's getting a piece of this.
Yeah, it's interesting. It kind of just seeps in everywhere, and everybody has an interest in it. Again, I guess I get to the earlier point. Bitcoin is for everyone. Everybody wants to utilize it the best they can. Jim, do you have any thoughts here?
Yeah, I love your language that you used. I talk about this all the time, is your money is simply a tool and a resource to help you do what's important to you in life. And Bitcoin is superior money. Fiat broken money system is an ever-changing measuring stick. And yeah, those people who happen to be close to the money printer, it's a measuring stick that changes for the good. It can expand with you as you grow, versus people who are further away. I was at the grocery store earlier this week, and a lady in front of me, she was just looking at my kids. She's an older lady, definitely the type of lady she looks like she has about 40 cats. And she got there to pay. She had a few items, and it was like just a couple things, and she actually did have cat food. But yeah, she paid for her stuff. It was like $25 for a few things, and she had this look of just like shock and worry. It was heartbreaking. It's like, this lady's living on a fixed income, and the cost of her few items and her cat food is, I would venture to say, because in my family, it's about 40% higher than it was a year ago. And for her, this tool, this measuring stick, has changed for the worse, and it's broken, it's manipulated. So money should be a tool that allows you to do what's important to you in life. And yeah, so I like that language you use, and I'm very bullish on this being a superior tool, one that can't be manipulated by a government or by an individual. Yeah, so I love it. The protocol, everything behind it. We're seeing that, the use cases, and I don't want to go there because they'll take up my talking time. But yeah, we're just seeing not only the number go up and all these things that people get hyped about, but the use cases behind it. It's amazing that this is hitting this stride at this point in time, right when we need it. So I love it.
Yeah, it's insane. Well, awesome. Thank you guys for your input on that one. We'll just keep it going. I'm sure this topic will come up again every single day until it no longer needs to. But yeah, we'll leave it for now. I did if anybody wants more details on kind of the topic at hand, I did a full show last night with Greg Foss and BJ and Nick, who's on the ground. So you can go back and watch that if you want to get filled in, but I won't take up too much time on that. So with that, everybody watching, keep the comments coming. I'll start bringing some of them up here in the background too as we chat. But I also have to give a quick shout out to my #1 fan, David Wong. He is in attendance today. David, it is great to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday. He wants to let everybody know that Bitcoin is the same as any other risk asset. So just so you guys know, that is David's input here. He also says if stocks sell off, Bitcoin sells off too. So he just wanted you to know that. And I'm glad to have him here. He's not a fan of Bitcoin, but he is a fan of the show, I am certain. So thanks for being here, man. Let's give this a rotate. Let's head over to Brian. I'm going to let you have your little rant on whatever you're excited about this week. So take it away.
All right. Here's what we got. We got Get on Zero. All right, everyone. #1. Fidelity is using Get Off Zero. So it's time for us, the Bitcoiners on Twitter and on YouTube, to stay one step ahead. We can't be using the same thing Fidelity is using, okay? #2, the math just makes sense. Bitcoin protects your purchasing power daily on average. Bitcoin goes up daily on average. Fiat, USD, loses to goods and services daily on average, okay? #3, all the tools are now available for you to use Bitcoin as your base money. You don't have to use an ACH portal at an institution that only uses dollars. You need to call up your bank. I call them ACH portals. I think bank is this like old word that it like bestows a lot of just like oomph to them or whatever. This is nothing. Like think about the screen on your computer, okay? Think about the screen on your phone. What does it do? It allows your paycheck to come in, and then it also pays maybe 3, 4, 5 bills that you can't pay with a card, okay? That's an ACH portal. All that place does is connect you to the ACH network. There's now half a dozen Bitcoin apps that will connect you to the ACH network. So this other thing you're using is now irrelevant. You need to call them and you need to say, hey, I appreciate ACH portaling here, but do you have any other currencies that you offer? Because, you know, I appreciate you answering the phone. It's relatively nice to ACH portal here, but the currency that you offer is not working for my family anymore. Do you have anything in the pipeline to rectify this inside the next few months because it's getting serious? They're going get their answer and get elevated if you need to. The first person, say, hey, I really appreciate you talking to you. Is there a manager I can speak with to talk about this currency issue that I'm having? Ask them. Work your way up the chain. If you can't get a solution, switch to a Bitcoin app because Bitcoin apps have ACH portals now. Get on Zero simply means you don't have to hold fiat any longer than you physically have to anymore. The time frame with which Bitcoin is better savings, right? We all know that. Bitcoin is better savings. So we think about that savings for the future. It is slam dunk the way you save for 20 years down the line, right? But if you're saving your paycheck from Friday to use it on Sunday, it's the time with which we can use fiat is shrinking. You can use dollars for those too, and the math just makes sense. Even with paying capital gains taxes, you will still come out wealthier because the math just makes sense. If you hold a higher amount of sats per day, on average, you will end the year with higher purchasing power than doing it in reverse.
I love it. I love get on. I love seeing get on zero everywhere because it's like you're right. As soon as large institutions, like Fidelity or whatever, I think JP Morgan the other day came out with like a 1% or a couple percent or something kind of number, and immediately Bitcoiners are like, yeah, fuck that, get on total zero, no fiat. I just love that. It's like you say, it's just whatever the current kind of okay, wherever the Overton window is sitting, Bitcoiners are like way the hell over here.
Exactly. We won. We moved the Overton window, and now it's time to keep moving it.
Yeah. I think that's great. I am basically on zero. Well, I shouldn't say zero because there's unfortunately a couple things where dollars come to me, but those, I know exactly how many dollars on average I need to spend per month. So the dollars that come in are basically in and out, and the Bitcoin that comes in is mostly in and very little out. So yeah, that's kind of my best attempt at get on zero. But there's some amazing tools out there. You were talking about just being able to get in access to like ACH portals in Canada, slightly different networks, but you can use Bull Bitcoin to pay any bill here. You can use Bitcoin Well to pay any bill. You can go to even like Canadian speak. I mentioned Bitrefill off the top of the show, but there's also coincards.ca where you can just get gift cards for, groceries and gas and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of stuff, the Shakepay card where you can, keep it in Bitcoin until you want to spend it, convert it to dollars and tap. There's so many tools. And I imagine with Strike in the US and some other solutions, Cash App, stuff like that, there's a lot of things that make it possible, depending on where you're at, depending on how far down that get on zero rabbit hole you may be. It's accessible now. It's possible, which it wasn't before. But anyways, I'll open it up to you guys. I know that not everybody is on zero, but what do you think of the general concept of getting people more exposed to Bitcoin, and maybe comment on that? So I don't know, Jim or Ryan, whoever wants to jump in.
Take it away, Ryan.
Yeah, I use Shakepay. I'm working towards getting onto Bull Bitcoin to deal with the bills. But yeah, it's a goal that I'm working towards. I've definitely been stronger allocations towards it. But yeah, I'm not the only one in my family, so I have to negotiate, and there's still a lot of work to be done in that regards. But we're getting there.
Yeah.
But like in regards to inflation, like that's an easy touch point that I've been using everywhere to pique people's interest in Bitcoin. Like the other day, I approached a kid that was changing the prices at the grocery store, and I just straight up asked him, I was like, so how frequently are you doing this? And he just turned and was like, you have no idea. This is getting insane. And so everybody is seeing it everywhere. And then I just struck up a conversation about Bitcoin, and he walked away from it definitely intrigued, and I hope he went and looked into it. And then when I'm cashing out with my Shakepay card, everyone's like, well, what's that cool little raccoon you got there?
Yeah.
And it's like, brag about my 2% sats back.
That's awesome.
Definitely starting to intrigue people that you can spend it in ways, and because that's always one of the tricky points to get people convinced about it, because they're like, well, how do I spend it? And then I can just show them I can go from Moon Wallet, Shakepay to cash balance almost instantaneously.
Yeah,
it blows them away with how easy it is, because they come to it assuming that it's challenging and clunky.
Yeah,
navigating a bank is challenging and clunky these days.
Oh yeah, trying to send like a wire transfer or something. Oh my god, I've only ever had to do it a couple times, but it's insanity. So I don't know. Jim, did you want to throw anything in here?
Yeah, I mean, these are conversations I have regularly with people who, have no allocation. And, it's a matter of obviously considering like, your risk tolerance and your time horizons and all those fun things that I have to disclose as a financial planner. But yeah, just inching people along, just understanding, hey, there's this perceived risk because there's volatility in Bitcoin. So understanding like what is risk versus what is volatility and helping them connect the difference there. And then as they start recognizing the difference between risk and volatility and understanding there's actually risk in everything you do, there's significant risk in owning dollars. Like that risk is right now it's 7.5% annualized. So helping people understand that's the risk. And yeah, just as they see these risks, they want to move further down. So if it's get off zero and then move, get on zero and just moving down that spectrum. I love that.
Yeah.
And Ryan, I thought that was funny. Like that's why we have inflation right now is because all the stores are having to just go and hire 17-year-old kids to just go out and change the signs out so regularly. So that's what's costing them so much. Is just the sign changing.
Right.
I was ticked off at the store like 2 months ago because they raised milk like 70 cents. And then last week I went to the store and they raised it again. I was like, I'm gonna start getting too mad to go to the grocery store.
Yeah. It's Elizabeth Warren is onto something. It's those damn gritty corporations that are the fault of inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier to bring up the subject of Bitcoin nowadays. Seeing, when you can say that inflation is 7.5% and that's stated inflation, you don't even need to tell people that the CPI gauge is bullshit. You can just say the number they're telling you is 7.5%, and people get that. They're like, that's high. I can see that everything is more expensive, meaningfully more expensive. There's no longer an explanation of, well, if they print more money, it's gonna they see it. You can just show it to them. And the only battle really with understanding that is in some cases, like with Elizabeth Warren, sitting them down and explaining that when there are more dollars chasing fewer goods, the prices will naturally creep up. It's not like the evil corporations just suddenly all together across the globe decided to raise prices in tandem.
Ben, here's an analogy for that for people if they have a hard time explaining that. If you've been to Disneyland physically has to have high prices or else it would be overcrowded more than it already is and you wouldn't be able to get inside. You wouldn't be able to walk around. The Disneyland, sometimes it gets to the point where they have to shut the garage down and they throttle how many people go in. And so now imagine the grocery store is having the same problem that Disneyland is. Like the price physically has to be higher in order to get have it get metered out to people.
That's interesting. And when things like price controls are seriously thrown around in today, and there's no historical reference that people are looking to say, oh wait, won't this just cause bare shelves? It's pretty wild to see that connection is not made whatsoever. And it's like the people that are tossing around these ideas haven't taken more than 2 seconds to think beyond first order effects of, well, this is too expensive and people can't afford it. We'll just make sure that it's not expensive anymore. Like that's the depth of thought that is happening here. So yeah, we shall see how that plays out. But I think there'll be more and more people getting off zero, and then starting with Jim on getting off zero. They can saunter over to me through those initial phases, and then Brian can grab them by the scruff of the neck and shake them until they get on zero. So yeah, I love it. Thanks for bringing that up. And I'm a big fan of the get on zero thing. We're gonna rotate. We're gonna do another rotation. Everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. And yeah, there's some inflation talk in the chat. I guess somebody had mentioned inflation eventually going down, and Sail Dog here correctly said inflation going down doesn't mean prices go down, and that is correct. inflation is the measure, and whether or not you think the measure is fully accurate or not is another story. But it's the measure of the percentage the prices of certain goods and services increase over the course of the year. And if inflation goes down, it's not that prices go down. The new price is the new price. It's not going to be reduced unless it was literally just a supply chain issue. The new price is the new price. And if inflation goes down, it just means the cost of that item is not going up as quickly. All right. So when they said we're saying that inflation is transitory, which they've now abandoned anyways, they were just saying that prices are going to go up fast for a while, and then they're going to keep going up, but less fast. That is literally what they were saying. And if they had used that language, people would have lost their minds. But because they say inflation is transitory, they're just, it's like putting together the term quantitative easing when they mean injecting cash and creating money that did not exist prior. So yeah, it's terms to make things more palatable to the layman who may not understand what is going on. So
chime in there. Yeah, it's true. The only way that you can have the prices revert back to their normal price is to be followed by deflation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and the scariest thing, and this is where I can't imagine being a central banker or someone in charge of this. Like, you have a really bad job right now, because we're very easily on this precipice of stagflation, and stagflation is essentially inflation of prices, while having no growth or a bear market with assets, investment assets. So it's muddy waters right now, and I don't see why slowing inflation does not mean deflation. And tell that to someone who's living off a fixed income that, hey, don't worry, it's only going to go up by 3% next year. Don't worry about that 15% increase on your rent that just set your new base. That's going to be with you for the rest of your life. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I got to add in shrinkflation on top of this too, with all the packages shrinking while the prices stay the same. Like, we can't leave that out of this argument, because that means that industries are calculating inflation into their future bottom line, so much so that they are willing to change their production process to make smaller packages. Like, it's quite insidious at every level.
Go ahead.
I've eaten the same protein bar every morning for the last 10 years. And like 2 months ago, I was eating it. I was like, hey, I just finished it in 3 bites. I know it takes 3.5 bites.
I want my half bite back. That's awesome. Yeah, it's crazy. There's a book by, I think it was by Murad Mammadov. Hopefully I'm saying the last name right. But it was called "This Book Will Save You Time," and they've got a chapter on shrinkflation, and they talk about, like, they use an example of candy bars in the UK. They talk about different sizes, like how many grams the candy bars were and the prices of the candy bars over the course of like a decade. And one of the most absurd examples was a Snickers bar in the UK. And this book was written in 2019. So before we printed 40% of all existing money. So over the past decade, a Snickers bar had shrunk in size by half, almost half, and the price had doubled. which is insane. And I mean, you see it at the grocery store all the time. You pick up a jar of peanut butter, you turn it over, that giant divot. Why is that there? Well, it's to create the illusion of more product without shrinking the packaging. Or the thickness of cereal boxes. That's an easy one because they're front facing and you can't see how deep they go in. So that one's an easy one to screw around with. The ones that are tough to cover up is like produce and meat, because you can't bullshit a fucking T-bone steak, right? You measure it by weight. I guess you could have lower quality beef perhaps, but it's tougher to bullshit that kind of stuff. And so that's why they look at things and say, oh, wow, meat's so expensive. Well, no, everything's more expensive. It's just that the quality of this product has not diminished, and the others, they're in the process of degrading the products or shrinkflation to make them seem like they're increasing less in price. So with that, enough of a rant there. Jim, we're gonna keep with you because I want to let you have your moment to shine. What are you bullish about this week? Let's take us on a ride.
Man, I'm bullish about what you're doing up there. I think that everything going on in Canada, specifically with GoFundMe, is one of the best commercials for Bitcoin that we've seen for a really long time. You know, I'm not a cypherpunk or have never been a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. But I know for the longest time, like I've drank the Kool-Aid now, and I've been telling people for a while, like, hey, not only is this thing appreciated drastically since inception, but here's also the use cases. And a lot of people can get on board, like, wow, yeah, this thing is worth a lot more than it was a while back. But all other stuff you're saying, you sound like a nut. No one's going to try to take your money. No one cares that you send your money to this person or this person. Why do you need it to be anonymous or pseudonymous? That doesn't make any sense. Put on your tinfoil hat. And now we're actually seeing it. This is so bullish.
And a G7 nation, might I add.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're not talking about an African country where we're having some warlord with an AK-47 telling someone to hand over their money. Like, this is an established, functioning, big country that has lots of trust, and it's not a guy with an AK. These are people in suits, the people that you would think you could trust to have your best interest in mind. And yeah, they're doing these things that are building a direct case, and it's not even related to the number go up. It's related to the foundational principles of actually why this is sought after initially. Like, since the 80s, people have been trying to establish these cryptocurrencies. The cryptography, I know we all hate that term as crypto, but let's go to the root of it. It's cryptography. It's about being able to do what you want to do with this and not have someone else intervene. And yeah, we're here. This came at such a great time. And I know, like, the fact that this is able to step in and help these truckers out, and it doesn't require permission. It can't be censored. It can't be stopped. And there's nothing that GoFundMe or Canada or the US or anyone else can do about it. And yeah, who cares about the number go up? This is a use case playing out perfectly. And what a great commercial. Thanks Canada. Thanks GoFundMe.
Yeah. And it's the interesting thing about this too is given how aggressive we've kind of seen them react to what's going on right now, we're going to get a very real lesson in how secure you can make Bitcoin. And hopefully that lesson will go well. Hopefully, regardless of how things go, it will be a lesson. And in every instance, in every instance, like in the past where people have left stuff on exchanges and stuff, all of those are learning experiences around how not to secure Bitcoin. And so now we have an instance where there's going to be likely real pressure to not allow any of this Bitcoin get where it was intended. I was on Spaces this morning, and I disclosed that as of today, in the interest of security, I'm no longer a key holder. Neither is Greg Foss, neither is Jeff Booth, and whatever the quorum ends up being is at the discretion of Nick, aka Nobody Caribou, and BJ Dictor, who are the guys on the ground there, and basically one of the BJ is one of the individuals that's kind of amongst the organizers and everything. So it is now out of our hands. We have no idea who the other signers are going to be, or I guess currently are. So yeah, this is going to be, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. And not only that, but you got to think, Bitcoiners are always thinking adversarially? Like what are the choke points there? What happens when they compel exchanges to not swap to Canadian dollars? You know, what are your routes there? Do you go to decentralized exchanges? Do you just go and try and buy things directly peer to peer? Do you do you look at things like CoinJoin? Do you look at things like state chains? Do you look at, there's a lot of, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be a hell of an interesting, I don't even know what period of time, but people are
so I think that circular part exactly was where my brain was going. I think what's going to be super, super, super powerful is if that donation gets in the hand of a trucker who's like sitting there, like blocking, and then that money is sent to their family, and that landlord takes that Bitcoin, or that gas station takes that Bitcoin, or that grocery store takes that Bitcoin, and that's then like a very real, when then your family back home receives food in return straight across for Bitcoin, that's a very powerful thing for the entire world, because you've seen that happen under like less like threatening circumstances, where the straight across exchange like makes it spark in their brain that like this is money. And then the second thing that I was thinking about this week from the videos of, I saw the videos of the police officers or whoever it was, like confiscating the firewood. And I just was thinking about those individuals, like that actual person who needs money to feed their family and is taking money to do the job of taking the firewood. And when I think about the influence that Bitcoiners are currently having in the present and are gaining more influence every single day, Bitcoiners and people that are on the side of freedom are going to have the ability to pay higher wages and take care of people better. And you aren't going to want to take I understand the need to have the job, but the other job to be on the side of the truckers is going to end up paying better. Like that will pay better in the long run. And so that like makes me like happy and excited that like the people that are on the side of freedom have never been as well financed in any other period of history like than they are right now. Yeah. So that's a lot of leverage.
Yeah, it's interesting. Ryan, do you want to tag in there or anything?
Well, I think lesson of the week right now is don't keep your keys on a Google Cloud Drive.
Quorum ruins. Don't tell everybody.
But yeah, I'm going to lift some language from Spaceboy Lowry because it's fresh in my mind listening to his talk with Breedlove. But it seems that the truckers have taken up a non-aggressive defensive position to project force in such a way that it is prohibitively costly to do anything about. And it has completely paralyzed the entire bureaucratic structure of the police and the government. They have no idea how to handle this properly. And they're throwing all of the tools that we're familiar at towards it, the smear campaigns, the taking the one guy that showed up with a swastika for like 15 minutes, just long enough to get a photo shoot, and just plastering that as the face of the entire movement. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem to be working as effectively as it used to, because people can pull up a live stream and just be there if they can't actually physically go there and see it for themselves. So it's that wall of disinformation is starting to fall apart, and it's very fascinating to watch them flailing to try and keep it relevant.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see play out over the next little bit. I want everything. I mean, I've always said this, but I want everything to remain peaceful. I hope for an easy and happy resolution to all of this. It seems that there's some stubbornness and non, like there's not even a dialogue at this point, which is unfortunate. But there's also a lot of very passionate people that that I don't think are going anywhere because they don't have anywhere to go. Like if they leave, it's not like they go home to their job. They go home to nothing. So they're
They just
just,
want to be left alone
yeah,
more than anything.
they're staying is kind of the reality of it. And, you know, I don't think that the approach right now is going to do much to change that. We'll see. I don't know, but regardless, it's a hell of an interesting time for Bitcoin, and I inadvertently get a front row seat to that, as do all of us in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah, this will come up again. I'm positive. Yeah. Any final thoughts on this?
I'm also just a second. I'm bullish on Bitcoiners itself. Just seeing you guys step up. One, just y'all's is so many people's willingness to come in, volunteer, do stuff that you're not getting paid or like you're not getting anything out of this. So I love that. And then the fact that it's people. There's a whole community of people who are way smarter than I am. Like the things y'all are doing, I have no clue how to do that. So I love it. There's a whole community of people who I'm just riding their coattails and standing on shoulders. So I appreciate it. Yeah, glad to be on y'all's team. So, I mean, heck, even like Foss, I don't think that guy slept in months, but he came on a Tuesday night. He showed up. We did a webinar for my firm. He showed up for an hour and a half and just talked with clients about Bitcoin. This guy's not sleeping, but he's just going out, just educating people. I love it. So thank y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. Bullish on Bitcoiners indeed. Awesome. Well, let's keep things rolling. Everybody in the chat, again, thanks. David, I see your comments. I'm choosing not to bring them up at the moment, but I appreciate you, buddy. But regardless, we're gonna roll on. Ryan, you are up. What are you bullish about? Give us a little intro to what you're thinking.
I am very bullish right now about the state of the nuclear industry. Like, there's been some delays and problems recently, but like, if Bitcoiners are familiar with FUD, the nuclear industry has been dealing with FUD for decades, and it finally seems like public perception wise, there's been a great breakthrough. It seems to have taken an energy crisis to finally get us there, but it's finally being given the serious discussion that it really deserves. Yeah, I loved watching all of the developments with the Bitcoin mining space, like the Oklo Compass team up, whatever the Talon Energy plan for the Susquehanna reactor in Pennsylvania. And one of the other interesting ones that doesn't get a lot of attention, but Ukraine is an interesting use case for Bitcoin mining, is they had announced, unless anything's changed since I saw the announcement, they are planning on building several hundred megawatts worth of capacity attached to a few of their nuclear reactors. And the story of how it started is actually kind of funny, because there was some operators that were running a few ASICs at the reactor on the sly, and then they got caught, and then the authorities, instead of throwing them out, figured, hey, we can just do this for ourselves. And now they've announced that within 2 years or so, they're going to have some pretty big operations going on there. And I have no doubt that Russia is considering this angle with the way that they've been talking lately. They are big nuclear power. They've got lots of stranded hydro. They are definitely considering leveraging their Bitcoin mining opportunities there. Like, Canada also has some very similar opportunities. We have a robust nuclear industry. We have tons of hydro, lots of it stranded in northern communities that don't have the industries that they used to support that electricity capacity. And then Canada's going full speed with the SMR action plan, where we're hoping to have 6 or so new Gen 4 small modular reactors demonstrated in the country at various already certified nuclear sites like Canadian Nuclear Labs and Ontario Power Generation. And I saw that First Nations Power Authority has cut a deal with X Energy and Terrestrial Energy to nuclear reactor manufacturers. So there's plans to drop these small modular reactors all throughout remote communities in northern Canada to upgrade them off of diesel. And I've been starting to think about it after Brandon Quittem's the Pioneer Species essay that he wrote. Like, it fits in perfectly to what the idea that I'm promoting within the nuclear industry. It's just, we can take a power source, whatever it is, but now we can take a small modular reactor anywhere. We're not geographically limited, and we can have a complementary set of Bitcoin mining to go along with it as basically a seed that then turns an energy desert into a flourishing ecosystem. Because within a short time, it'll start inviting more complex second order industries like the hydrogen production facilities or desalination, or definitely going to have different mining operations attached to these things, but it will be the seed that grows into like the mighty oak level communities, and we can start planting those seeds all over northern Canada. Because the way I see it is, if global warming and climate change goes the way that the most far end predictions go, northern Canada is probably going to be a lot more habitable in the not too distant future. So why not start preparing now? And it's also a great opportunity to help out and build partnerships and collaborations with Indigenous communities that have been energy impoverished for generations and been promised by consecutive governments every cycle that they're going to do something to help, but it ends up just kind of falling flat. Like,
Yeah,
I
funny how
thought
that happens.
I thought that Trudeau had a perfect opportunity. He promised two major things. He was going to legalize cannabis, and he was going to bring water to Indigenous communities. He could have used one to fund the other, but I don't know.
Yeah, but the budget balances itself, man, so it's fine.
You know, and we don't pay attention to
Yeah.
monetary policy and finances. It's
Yeah. I've got a question for you in and around the nuclear stuff, because I'm not, general ideas about it, but I'm wondering if maybe you'd like to speak on, you mentioned that there's been a lot of FUD around nuclear. What are the concerns that people have historically had about it, and how have those been either inaccurate, or how have they changed over the past number of years?
weapons, waste, and economics are the big three, because there's always the fear of proliferation with weapons. Waste is always a concern, but nuclear industry has a very strong accounting of everything that they take out of a reactor, and although it's not stored as securely as they intend to in the future with deep geological repositories, they're still secured in large lead flasks that like you can safely walk by with no concern. Like I think that Simpsons may have been a disservice to the perception of nuclear waste. Like, I still think people have this image of Mr. Burns shoving barrels of green goop into trees at a neighborhood park. Like that's tough to overcome because it's embedded in our pop culture. And then,
All I think of when you say nuclear and Simpsons is Radioactive Man and the goggles, they do nothing as he gets pulled away. Oh God, one of my favorites.
oh, it's hilarious. And then the economics, like these things are expensive. They're multi-generational infrastructure projects. And I am quite confident that Bitcoin mining is the golden goose that they've been looking for. So they can use to monetize as much capacity as they want. They will never have to worry about curtailment or surplus generation events. The guys down in Texas showed a really impressive showing by scaling down for the winter storm that came. So they demonstrated the controllable load response mechanism beautifully. Like, I'm really impressed with the guys that were able to follow the load in real time using software. Like, that is some pretty cool stuff that could have some really interesting ramifications for improving the efficiency of power generation just across the entire grid everywhere.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Brian or Jim, do you want either chime in or a question or anything?
Yeah, mine was just going to be a question too. What can you tell us about just the difference between the way nuclear is treated in Canada versus the way it's treated in the US right now?
I'm not super familiar with the regulatory stuff, but it's just because we also have in Canada, we have 4 reactors, 3 in Ontario and 1 in New Brunswick, and we're planning on shutting one down in 2 years because of economics. And it seems to be a similar problem across the board. When you start adding more intermittent sources to all of these grids, it creates complications that then the baseload generators take a lot of the economic liability because they end up generating surplus at a lot of times of the day. And But yeah, I don't know too much about the regulatory stuff, but it does seem that there is movement towards being a little more eased off on it, and because the new generation reactors they're all designed to be walk away safe, and the risk of anything catastrophic is almost non-existent.
That's interesting. Jim, you have anything that you want to tag in?
I was just laughing at your comment about how, Bitcoiners put up with FUD. And I was just thinking like, yeah, you guys have been putting up with way worse for decades. It's like, you think you have FUD? Here, hold my Chernobyl.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we have a lot to learn. Like Bitcoin has a lot to learn just from what you guys have put up with, just the way you are continually having to overcome these things. And, I feel like for so long, it was just this unaddressed, you don't talk about it. It was completely, just not discussed. And now you're starting to see this resurgence. So I think Bitcoin has this place we can learn like, all right, well, what was the messaging? What's the branding? What's the, what do those conversations look like among normal people, and then also politicians, and how you're navigating bringing this about to hopefully seeing this become more normal again.
Nuclear, it almost seems like a slower motion version of because I like thought that nuclear was kind of not really doing so hot and was kind of on the way out, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's still happening. And how often?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, there's been a lot of influencers and like pro-nuclear influencers that have been learning. I think they're learning lessons from dealing with the Bitcoin flood and just starting to get into meme activity. Like I saw Rosatom, the Russian reactor company, was trolling the OPG when they announced their small modular reactors, being like, "Hey, we've already got one. Like, come on, keep up, guys." And just like, I want to see more of that, like playful banter and that kind of cooperative competition to really bring the whole industry together. Like, there's things have really turned around recently, and I think that they can owe a lot of their public response to how they've watched Bitcoiners and the way that they deal with FUD, and just they don't take the bullshit, they tell it like it is, and relentless positivity.
Yeah, I love that. I like the idea of, because I mean, Bitcoin is tying economic calculation and currency to energy for the first time. Well, maybe not the first time, like there was energy put into mining gold and stuff like that, but it has been a separation since fiat. There's no proof of work in fiat. And so bringing back the idea of tying, money to something real that you can't fake has some pretty wide reaching implications to it. And I hope that, through that we re-examine how we do energy, and we don't just simply say we need to use less energy, because that to me doesn't make any sense. Using energy is what allows humanity to thrive and grow and learn and expand, and at first explore the farthest reaches of the earth, and now potentially the stars, right? And so the answer isn't less energy. The answer is learning how to harness energy in the most efficient manner. And I hope to see that with Bitcoin and maybe with nuclear. Yeah. Sorry. If anybody wants to tag in last, and any thoughts on this topic before we round out.
I just love how the concept across all the ways of producing energy, I just love how the concept of like surplus, like Bitcoin can use the surplus, Bitcoin can use the surplus, Bitcoin can use the surplus, because that's what lets like any project pencil now. Because if the other uses don't pay high enough to build whatever it is you're building, then pencil it with shifting it between your use and between like Bitcoin. That's what I think, that concept. and that language is like falling down to more people that are understanding that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we can build surplus generation, like somewhere where it only made sense to build a 10 megawatt, we can put 40 megawatts now, and then the communities can build into that. And having the Bitcoin mining there's no rush, so they can develop more strategic sustainability plans on how to do it. And like in the places that we're going to be doing this, it's very important that they have to their culture, that they have a say in how it is put together. And so there's going to be a lot of collaboration and partnerships with a lot of stakeholders, and it's very important that we get this right for everyone.
That's interesting. I like what you said there about giving the leeway to be more strategic as you build things out. I think that's very important, and it speaks to another tenet that Bitcoiners go by, the whole low time preference thing, right? Rather than just rush into slap down a neighborhood cookie cutter and just this is good enough, and it's just sprawling cities with no real consideration of how far you're having to move energy to and resources to service these far-reaching areas. Yeah, you know, when you have something that allows you the luxury of time and consideration in how you build, because you're not going to be out money if you take a little bit extra time to really think through a project, that's massive. And maybe we return to some of the low time preference architecture and cities of the past. I would love to see some of that, some more. I don't know how to say it, but it makes me think of there's a book called Strong Towns, and it talks all about the unsustainability of large cities in the context of them building out further and further suburbs. And by the time the municipal taxes from the homes in that area effectively pay off the initial construction, the homes are in disrepair, and the whole neighborhood is in disrepair far before the taxes ever cover the creation of said neighborhood. And so you see this phenomenon where the cities kind of rot from the inside out, and it's just like this ring of individuals like expanding out in the suburbs as the inner city rots, other than perhaps some nice, you know, upkept neighborhoods. And it's a very interesting read, but again, it speaks to the idea of, you know, we got to build this shit quick. We gotta get money in, we gotta get tenants in, we gotta get everything covered. We're paying for the energy, we're paying for the water and the electricity and everything to go to these homes and building the grids, and you know, we got to recoup our money quick. You know, with Bitcoin, maybe that alleviates some of that behavior. I will. Oh, here's what I want to do here. Well, I wish I had that book here because I would. Anyways, Strong Towns. Look it up. Marty Bent got me onto that one, but I think I'm gonna open it up. Maybe just for a quick round of some kind of final thoughts for the week. You know, anything that has kind of caught your eye that maybe you wanted to share. Maybe I'll task each of you guys with something that you would recommend that people check out. Could be a book, a video that you've seen recently, a podcast, something back of your mind that you think is worth listening to. Something that I listened to recently was actually Greg Foss and Preston Pish on Blue Collar Bitcoin. There was a two-parter there. That one was solid. And I got to give a shout out to the Blue Collar Bitcoin guys. They are awesome. Last time they were on here, thanks to David, we discussed what the perfect troll for them would be. And we came up with the title, instead of Blue Collar Bitcoin, White Collar Fiat. And lo and behold, there is a new Twitter handle called White Collar Fiat that is now on and trolling them. So I'm very excited. They feel like they've made it now. So good for them. But I'll pass it down the line. Hopefully I'm not putting you on the spot too much, but Brian, any final thoughts and any recommendations you have for people?
Yeah. So my final thought is just continuing down the path of talking. We've talked about Bitcoiners having influence, and we talked about that Strong Towns book. I would recommend that people find a way to like gain influence in their community, like where they live. That sounds cheesy, and it sounds like just, and I'm not talking about just volunteering for something random. Like I'm talking about even if you have one neighbor that like cares what you have to say and cares your view of the world, that matters. Like talking to that person matters. Like like back to basics, like how to win friends and influence people stuff, and like knowing your neighbors stuff, that matters. And so I think Bitcoiners should look at their neighborhoods like on purpose and with intention, and like gain local influence.
I like that. Also, you know, that book that you just brought up, highly recommend How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's, you know, not having, you know, when you haven't read it and you read the title, you're like, what the hell is this? Some sort of manipulative bullshit? But no, it's literally just talks about showing genuine interest in the people around you and gaining mutual respect between them, because when you do that, you are trying to better understand the people around you, and you're better for it, but they are also appreciative and more likely to be receptive to anything that you may interest you, or that may be beneficial to you. They're that much more likely to be a friend and a neighbor to you. And it's one of the best books I've ever read. So thank you for bringing that one up. Awesome. Jim, you are up. Any final thoughts and any recommendations?
Yeah, I was reminded, one of y'all brought up the Texas grid. I think it was Nuclear, you brought that up. Yeah, it's like 70 degrees out and perfect. So I forgot it was just cold like a week ago. But yeah, I remember I saw a brief, I don't know, nightly news clip, and even like the local news was recognizing, wow, like these Bitcoin facilities that we've been afraid of that's going to burn down the world they've stepped up, and they're doing exactly for the grid what we need to be. And they're not, a lot of them actually did it before they were asked. So it wasn't like, hey, we're about to have to turn off the power for these neighborhoods, please stop mining for a minute. They preemptively said, hey, we're here to help. We're going to lighten the load, make it successful for people. And man, that's just helping the community, shedding good light on Bitcoin, on Bitcoiners. And again, just another strong use case. And that's nightly, Channel 9 news stuff. So that's phenomenal. And yeah, it's, as far as like closing thoughts, I listen to Blue Collar. I like those guys a lot. They're fantastic. And then yeah, Preston, listen to all, he's who got me into Bitcoin. I listen to his stuff every week. So yeah, just I would encourage everyone, like, check that out. So again, if, as Brian mentioned, have a conversation with their neighbor. And when you go have those conversations, just approach it in an understanding and an intelligent manner. Don't be yelling at people to have fun staying poor. Like, no one wants to hear that. They're going to tell you to get out of here. Just like, hey, if you're out and about and you hear some guy standing on top of a bench with a megaphone yelling at people, you're going to go to hell. If you don't like turn to God right now, like no one wants to hear that. And like, I'm a Christian and I get mad when I hear people doing that. It's like, wow, you are tarnishing what I think the gospel is. In the same way, if you're just yelling at people like, oh, you're going to have fun staying poor, it's like, one, have compassion, like they don't understand. And two, like you're not actually presenting a logical thought. Yeah, there's a place of like frustration. I get it. And yeah, there's a time of like, hey, you're saying things that actually don't make sense. So like, good luck. Yeah, just try to come to this with a level-headed, understanding place with compassion and actually caring for people. Like, we want people to take hold of this, not for our own benefit per se, but for theirs. Again, like that's really what has me wrecked over the last few weeks, is just thinking about this inflation and the implications of this. I have a client, they have They have fixed income from a tragic accident that happened in their family. And this source of fixed income does not have a cost of living adjustment. And this client, she's 33, has a couple of kids. Fortunately, she has other assets. But by the time, I mean, if we see just a normal inflation of 3%, that means in roughly 24 years, the value of that will be cut in half. So that has me wrecked. And it's like, man, if you could just think about the implications of this, you're not going to be yelling at people to have fun staying poor. You're going to want to come alongside them, say, hey, I understand where you're at. It took me a long time to understand this as well, to come around to it. It seemed weird and crazy. But here's actually the use cases. And we actually have tangible things now we can present that shows like you're not some, tinfoil hat wearing psycho. And then, just approach it with good stuff. So read up, listen to good podcast, and read Dale Carnegie. I'm the antithesis of like hype and manipulation, so you can go out and win business. Like, be genuine. And I was so against that book for a long time because it just sounds like it's just so manipulative. Right? I was like, wow, this guy's actually really a good guy and he's doing this in the right place. So if you can combine that with like really good content on Bitcoin, go and talk to your neighbors.
Yeah, I echo that. That's awesome. Ryan, you're up last. Any final thoughts today, and any recommendations for people to check out?
Yeah, I just like to try and lead by example and just show other people how excited I am about all the ways that I'm learning how to use it myself, because I'm class of 2021, so I'm still figuring this out for myself. I've got stuff on order to start put together my own node. I've got an S9 running in the other room.
Nice.
And as far as recommendations, with my deep dive recently on just electrical infrastructure and how all this fits together, FactLab Smill's work, the Energy and Civilization, is a must read if you want to understand how energy fits with humanity. And I think that we are on the verge of a massive revolution in energy economics, and Bitcoin is going to play a big part of that. And it's going to push the scales of what we can do as humanity when we have near unlimited access to electricity. Like, wow. I even think that if you extend this out far enough, if we are using our nuclear stockpiles to generate more hash rate, like, not only could it deter weapons proliferation, but it might even go so far as to lead to weapons deproliferation, to start chewing up the fuel that's in weapons to use for more hash rate. Like, we could go, like, it ties in quite a bit with what Jason Lowry is talking about with his thesis, and it's very interesting things that the future of game theory could have in store for us. But I'm happy to be along for the ride. It's exciting stuff.
Awesome. I love how many interesting, unique lenses there are to look at Bitcoin through, and even in some instances where not everybody agrees with certain ways and lenses of looking through it, it doesn't matter, because I guess harkening back to the initial topic, Bitcoin is for everyone, and they're going to see and use it how they want to use it. And if you don't agree with that, it's kind of tough shit, because it's just a tool and anybody can use it, and you can use it to benefit yourself as other people can do the same. So with that, I will say, gentlemen, this has been a good rip. I appreciate all your time. You've made my Friday. It was a great chat, and you're all welcome back anytime. So thank you, guys.
Perfect.
Thanks. That was fun.
Cheers. All right, guys. I'll drop your audio and video for now, but if you stick around for a minute afterwards, I'll say a quick goodbye after we go offline. So cheers, guys. Pleasure. Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. As always, like, subscribe, share. Super important. Really does help the show. If you want to help out in another way, you can always hit up the previously mentioned sponsors down below. Those were, as I'm pulling everything up here, Shakepay, LEDN, Bitrefill, Keystone, BillFodl. All of them are linked in the show notes. And if you really liked what you saw, you can always drop me a Bitcoin tip at my Strike page. That is strike.me/BTC sessions. You go there, you type in any amount you want, you hit the tip button, you'll be greeted with the Lightning invoice, or if you tap to the right, a regular Bitcoin QR code. With that, I am out. Have a wonderful day or evening, wherever you may be. See you guys next time for your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.